Hey y'all, in this video I want to see approximately how much lumber can you get out of one log. So I've done some research and I know there's going to be a lot of different things that factor in on how much lumber you can get out of a single log. But I think a general rule of thumb that I see is whatever the diameter of the log is, you should get a cant that is about 70% of whatever the diameter is. So I guess for an example, if the diameter is 10 inches, you should be able to get about a 7-inch cant. You know, if it's a perfect 10-inch diameter, no kind of weird shapes like this one is. This one kind of has a weird little shape to it, especially on the other end. Right here, you can see that it's very weird looking. It's got this long thing going on here. So, you know, you have to take all those kinds of things into consideration. But I guess the general rule of thumb is if you've got a perfectly round log, that you should get about a 70% ratio of that cant, or I'm sorry, a 70% cant of the diameter of the log. So like I was saying, 10-inch diameter, you might get about a 7-inch cant. So I just wanted to kind of like put it to the test and see. So I got kind of a shorter log. This one's only 7.5 foot long. So I mean, you know, whatever you can use a 7.5 foot board for. But I just want to see how many pieces of lumber I can get out of this log. This side on this end is the smaller side, and we're at about 14 inches. But if you go to this weird shape, you know, it gets almost 15 inches. So we're going to call this log 14 inches. On the other side is definitely 14 inches, and then that long elongated side is like 16 inches. So we're going to say that we got about a 14-inch log, and we're going to see what size cant we get out of it. It's got a little curve to it, you know, so we're just going to see what we can get out of this thing. Starting with a 14-inch diameter log, that's what we're going to call it. Let's see how much lumber we can get, which of course I know other things you have to take into consideration, like if you want 4x4s, if you want 2x4s, if you're going true 2x4, if you're going true 4x4, which I like to do true anyway, just so that way after the wood kind of has its time to shrink or whatever, it'll you know, you're not starting at 1.5 by 3.5, you know, as a store-bought 2x4 would be. Instead, you're already starting at the true dimension, so it's going to shrink down a little bit. Then you can plane it if you want to, but anyway, let's in this scenario we're gonna try to go for 2x4s, but we'll see what else we can get out of these little slabs, or you know, see if there's anything in there. So let's go ahead and get fired up and get cutting. Okay, so I've taken that log and I've milled it down, and we still got some of this wane right here on the top and bottom, but for the most part that is a pretty good cant. And on that side it's actually even better. It's pretty much straight lines. I was able to get this 10.5 by 8.5, and I've already checked both sides. 10.5 by 8.5. So that was pretty good. So started off with what we called a 14-inch diameter, but of course it had a bunch of just weird kind of shapes and stuff. And I was looking at these little cutoffs, and I don't know if that would be worth trying to get another board out of it. You might maybe can get a 2x4 out of that, maybe. But you see along the side how it kind of does. It just tapers and it goes up and down. And yeah, I mean there probably is definitely a 2x4 out of this one, maybe even a 2x6, maybe. Especially whenever you look at it from this end. But the only thing is, it's like, you know, what I try to go for most of the time, and I know a lot of people's gonna leave a comment and say, well, that's pretty stupid, but I just try to go for like the main part of the cant, you know, and really get my boards out of that. I know, I mean, you could probably stand all this up and you could probably make something out of them, and I know there's probably a lot of people that do, but I just kind of feel like for the time, you know, that it takes to stack these up and flip them all again, and just, you know, of course you're gonna get another 2x4 or maybe a 2x6, but you know, you just gotta kind of weigh it out and say, is it actually worth it? You know, for me, I don't know that it'd be worth it to try to get the 2x4 out of this. I don't know. You comment down below. Tell me what do you think? Some of you might, some of you may not. But anyway, that's kind of where I stand. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up getting as many 2x4s out of this as we can. One more thing, just to show you my thought process on a log like this. So we got the 8.5 by 10.5. So I know I'm going for true 2x4. So we want 4 inches by 2 inches. So I know that this way I could not get 3 2x4s laying down in this direction because we only got 10.5. So my thought process is take it like this. We got 8.5. So I'll cut it, you know, I'll cut the 4 and then another 4, and then turn this cant over and then start cutting 2s out of it. 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. So we'll end up with 10 2x4s out of this whenever we cut it that way. We'll end up with 10 2x4s and some kind of smaller pieces. But that's my thought process on how to get my 2x4s. And so let's go ahead and cut those now. Okay, so I'm finished cutting that log, and I got the 10 2x4s that I was expecting to be able to get out of it. Now, some people that are more experienced with a sawmill, you probably could have gotten, you know, maybe 11 or maybe 12, I don't know, 2x4s out of that log, because like I said earlier, you probably could get something out of those if you took the time and did it. It just all depends on if it's worth it to you or not. But so we got almost 4 inches there, almost 4 inches there, and then every one of these is slack about an 1/8 or a 1/16 of an inch. Like the first one up here is slack an 1/8. Second one is only a 1/16 slack. Third one 1/16 slack. Fourth one 1/8 slack. Last one is almost on the money. So tell me if I'm doing something wrong, but the way that I usually do this is just my thought process. So I knew we had a 10.5 inch cant. So I started my very first cut with that mark lined up with the 10 inch on the ruler right there. Because apparently, I guess this is supposed to be from the bottom of the bed. So I made my first cut at 10 inches because I knew that I wanted 5 2x4s, you know, so 10 inches would be the top of my 5th one. So once I got that and made that cut, hold on, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get in a notch. That's what gave us the top little 2 boards that I threw off of there, which we could do something with those. They'll be worth something to use them somewhere. After I got that first cut, then I went by what this thing says, 1 full turn equals 2 inches. I knew I wanted 2 inch 2x4s. So what I would do is I just go 1 full turn. That was the notch that I started in. So I did 1 full turn and landed right back in that notch again, every time. So that got me down to almost 8, and then of course I did it again, got me down to 6, and then did it again. So I went by this after I got my benchmark of 10 inches where I wanted to start. I just went by this to give me 2 inches every single time. And I don't know, you tell me if that's wrong or if that's the right way to do it, but that's usually how I do it to get my 2x4s, which, like I said, usually always are about an 1/8 or a 1/16 of an inch, smaller than the actual 2 inch by 4 inch, which to me doesn't really matter because I know that they're going to shrink a little bit, and you may even have to plane them down or whatever. So I'm fine with that because after shrinkage, and if I have to plane it down, I mean, in the end, we're not even going to be down to what a store-bought 2x4 is anyway, which is 1.5 inches by 3.5. So I mean, I'm fine with that. But more experienced guys, if you just leave a comment down below and just tell me, am I doing something wrong, or is this the right way to do it? Is this this normal, or is my sawmill off, or whatever? Just let me know. But anyway, to answer the ultimate question, or at least to answer the experiment that I was doing, how much lumber can you get out of a single log? I was able to get 10 true 2x4s out of a 14-inch log. I don't know if that's good or bad. I know it's a little bit smaller than the 70% that I was supposed to end up with, but like I said, you might have some more experienced sawmill people out there that can elaborate on this. Maybe I'm wasting too much, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. It was just an experiment that I wanted to try, at least for myself. Hopefully you got something out of it, and I'll see you on the next video.